Welcome to Let's Talk Tottenham, fresh off an FA Cup win. Not the greatest victory, but they all count. And if we end up winning the cup, no one will care that it was only 1-0 against a lower side team. And yeah, loads more to talk about. The intro that I put up was about Harry Kane, but so much has happened since then. So we've got a lot to talk about. Two great guests with me. Been on plenty of times before. Brad, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Chris. It's good to be back. Good to be back in a football capacity.
And Hass, how you doing, buddy?
Very good, thanks. Had a lovely New Year and Christmas, and yeah, Spurs are back now. So here we are.
Whether that's good or bad, I'm sure we'll talk about that later on. But both these guys have their own YouTube channels. Blue Sofa Songs for Brad, A View from the South Stand for Hass. They're all in the description. YouTube links in the description, as well as their Twitter handles. But they will let you know what you can expect on their channels in the coming weeks and months and so forth at the end. Also, hit the like, hit the subscribe on this channel. Really helps the channel and Chris's Magic. That's my little side hustle there. If you like a little bit of magic tricks and can spare 3 minutes a week. But again, all in the description. Please hit the notification bell here as well. You won't have to remember when we're live. And yeah, that's all the housekeeping out of the way. Let's crack to it. So the first thing that's happened since I created the thing is a little known Spurs player has retired from football, Gareth Bale, back in the time when he was wildly successful. But yeah, just thank you, Gareth, really. Helped put us on the map. Some unbelievable performances. Everyone will remember where they were and until the day they die, that Inter Milan game at the San Siro, where we were dead and buried, and then the return leg when he destroyed and pretty much ended the career of the best right back. Some unbelievable memories, and I got to see him play. Very fortunate to see someone who was unbelievable player. Scored against the Arsenal. That was always special. But yeah, favourite Gareth Bale memories? Gareth, Brad?
I just remember that amazing season he had. Was it 2013, 12-13? I mean, I don't think it'd be hard pressed to find a player that's had a better season than he had that year. And the irony being was that I had to give up my season ticket for a couple of years, so I couldn't afford it, and that was one of the seasons I missed. and then of course when he came back to Tottenham, of course there was no fans in the ground, so I didn't really play a lot. I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did see him. I've definitely seen him play for Tottenham. But the season that he had, that amazing season, which I think he went off to Madrid after that season, I didn't get to see any of it. Or certainly not live. I mean, obviously I saw him, but he was an amazing player and would probably be a big candidate to get in any best Tottenham 11, really.
I think he's a shoo-in, isn't he? That with that season that you're talking about. Hass, favourite memories of Gareth Bale in a Spurs shirt?
Oh, the Mycon one. Where
we could have a whole show based on Gareth Bale memories, but yeah, favourite one for you?
Favourite one for me, I think it's got to be that. I think it was that last minute or thereabouts where he won the game for us against West Ham. Absolute thunderbolt into the top corner. That was absolutely fantastic for me. Was wearing, I believe it was the black and grey away shirt as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's too many to go through. Too many.
I mean, that goal there was back in the days where Gareth Bale didn't believe in tap-ins. They had to be at least 20 yards, otherwise no point scoring them. But yeah, just to say, really, good luck in your retirement and good luck for whatever you do the rest of your life post-football, whether that's coaching, punditry, or something completely out of football. But yeah, some of the memories you've given Spurs fans, just unbelievable. That San Siro game was just embarrassing, and then he ended up giving us a hell of a lot of pride. And I think as well allowed us to believe that we can go toe-to-toe with some of the best and then actually make a mark in that competition. But yeah, bit of a shame how it ended, I guess, with Wales going out, but he's had plenty of success in his career. So
I think if I might add, Chris, I think Gareth was special in the sense that we had a player that teams genuinely feared. He had that fear factor. No team that we came up against when we had Gareth in our team wanted to play against Gareth. You know, he was frightening. You know, we weren't scared of anyone with him in the team. Yeah. And, you know, it's amazing that we actually had a player like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's a shame he didn't win anything with Tottenham. I mean, obviously, you know, he went to win loads of stuff with Real Madrid. But it's a shame he didn't win anything with Tottenham. It's a shame also that when he came back to Tottenham, that there weren't any fans in the ground.
And he had the wrong manager as well. He had a defensive manager with a proper attacking player. And it just wasn't a good match. But also a shame that he left Tottenham where the fans adored him to go to a team where the fans didn't appreciate him at all, even though he won them God knows what. But
yeah,
fantastic career and some great memories. And I'm sure there'll be a program on Sky at some point in the next week of Gareth Bale's top goals or something like that. But
you can actually, I think you can find the goals from that 2012-13 season on YouTube. I've got all the goals. So
fantastic player, and just privileged and blessed that he played at that high level for little old Tottenham back in the day. Next thing that we've got to talk about, this has been on Twitter and all in the news, potential Qatari investors, not a full takeover from what I've read, but kind of 25%, a minority kind of stake. So they'd give ENIC and Levy how much they want to give for that 25%. But I'll come to my views after I asked you two guys, and interesting to see in the chat what you think about it in the chat. Good or bad for this? If this is true, there's obviously some talk that it's ENIC putting this in because we're all clamoring for signings, and then they're talking about this to kind of shoehorn that away. But let's just say it is true. Good or bad for you, Brad?
Well, there are two sides to this, or two sides to my opinion on it. The human being, moral person that I am would be very unhappy if a regime or a group associated with a regime that basically denies human rights, blah blah blah. We all know what the problem is with that. But then there's the other side of me that wants to see Tottenham win. So I'm not hypocritical. Well, I probably am hypocritical to say that if they invested loads of money and we bought loads of players and won things, I'd be in the streets celebrating the win. So it's one of those sort of situations, isn't it? Really, it's. I mean, I don't think it will happen anyway. I think it's just another smokescreen that ENIC have put up, like the fact that they're not releasing their figures until February, which is.
I mean, that just says that they're not going to sign anyone or not do any kind of meaningful business.
Well, I think if we do sign people, it'll be the figures will come out and say, well, hang on a minute, why didn't we pay that extra 5 for that player or that extra 10 for that player? We've got loads of money. So
well, the thing is, if we don't sign this Porro guy, 40 million they want for him, and it comes out with these figures that we could sign him, it's just he might as well be inviting the ENIC out people to his door to have a shout at him on his front porch if he does that, and just. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, but it doesn't read for good viewing, does it? That they're only releasing the statements after the transfer window. But your thoughts on that, Hass, and the Qatari investors, whether good or bad, if indeed true, and if indeed it happened.
Again, I mean, I have to reiterate what Brad said. Over the past years, we've seen other clubs taken over by Qataris and. Countries from that sort of area, and we've sort of detested it, haven't we? So, being a bit hypocritical, if we then say, I want to see the Qataris take over, etc., etc. Morally, it might not be right, but the other part of me says maybe it's our chance to actually compete and actually try and win something with a bit of investment, because this ownership certainly, aren't really bothered about on-field success. As we all know, the footballing side of things, they're really not interested in. From a business perspective, yes, they've done fantastically well and they'll continue to do fantastically well, but at the expense of us failing time and time again on the pitch. So, yes, part of me says I wish it did come true. But the other part of me says morally it's probably not right. But hey ho, It is what it is. We'll see. I mean, I certainly think it's a smokescreen. It's no coincidence that it's come about now when we've got so many out there, Levy out, Enoch out. We've got a lot going on in the background at the moment. As you know, there were chants in the stands last couple of games as well. So it's no coincidence this has all come about now.
No.
So I'll be very surprised if anything come of it in the next couple of months, to be honest.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the likes of Porro, I just think if the guy has a release clause, you pay that fee.
Yeah. And it's not a ridiculous release clause. It's not like 80 million pounds, is it? It's
exactly.
I think it's 40 million. Is it 40 million pounds or 40 million euros?
40 million.
Although with the exchange rate, that's the same. But
yeah, but I mean, for a top quality right back, I mean, the guy, he was at Manchester City. I understand. He's part of their product, and for me, I mean, it makes sense. If you need a certain player in a certain position, there's a release clause there. You don't negotiate. I mean, when we're selling players, Levy certainly doesn't like to negotiate other than what the asking price is.
Exactly.
So when it comes to us buying players, what's the difference? We need a player who fits what we need in the team at the moment. You go out and you pay the money. Full stop. It's not that much to ask
and a
for.
player that, by all accounts, Conte wants. So go get the player the manager wants.
It's a weird one, Chris, though, isn't it? Because you hear that he wants him, and yet other people say he's not a Conte player because he's a bit slight. I mean, I don't.
I haven't seen those ones. All I've seen on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, there's so many in the know, so God knows what I'm actually reading. But the only things I've seen are that Conte wants him, and 40 million isn't silly money.
No, and we're what, the 10th richest club in the world at the moment.
We'll find out in February, won't we?
So it's not like we're being asked, as you say, we're not being asked to pay silly money. We're not doing the Chelsea route and paying 100 million for this, 100 million for that. Yeah. It's just 40 million, and that's been the crux of the Enoch matter throughout them being there. Is this inability to just pay what other clubs ask for it. It's annoying.
I think he's done okay as a chairman. Okay in the sense that business-wise and commercially, he's done a fantastic job. But when they took over to now, we are a much, much bigger team. We're much more known worldwide. We've got much more worldwide presence. And I don't think there's any danger. Like Irving Scholler, when he was there, we almost went bankrupt. Alan Sugar saved us. I don't think there's any danger with Daniel Levy in charge that we'll be in the red or anywhere near. But then you've got to, as chairman, I think you've got to do two things. You've got to do that part, make yourself grow and financially stable. But then you've also got to do the football side. And the football side, he's been nothing really short of dreadful. So if it was just the commercial side and he left the football side up to someone else and he didn't touch it at all, he'd be a brilliant chairman. But he gets too involved with the football side. 25 million for Grealish. I'm only paying 23. What the hell is 2 million when you're paying 23 anyway? And countless others. Poch wanted Mane. We're getting Kudu or G and countless others. So I don't see it changing though, and I've got real fear that Conte will have enough because he won't get the players he wants. He'll run off and say bollocks to this. I'm off. Appease the fans, get Poch back in, and what's Poch going to do with this team? And most of the team are the ones that threw him under the bus in the first place. But
I mean, look, you've got a case now where Conte's digging his heels in and saying, "If you don't back me, I'm not going to sign." And you've got Levy on the other end saying, "If you don't," he's digging his heels in.
Yeah,
saying
it doesn't help anyone. I mentioned this on
if you don't sign, I'm not going to sign any players. But surely, as a chairman, as the owner of a football club, you come out and you say, "This is what our vision is. This is what we're going to do. We're going to back the manager because we want to do this, X, Y, Z, and so on and so on." The fact that he's not someone who tends to come out that often. We've seen before he's come out when his back's been against the wall. We'll remember when he come out, was it before Mourinho signed or just after? He gave an interview, 10-minute interview, and it was very rare. But, he's not someone who's very frank or forthcoming with us, the fans. So we're left in limbo. Essentially, we don't know what's going on. Now, when you take on someone like Conte, whichever club he goes to, fans instantly are going to expect big things. Fans are instantly going to expect, we're going to go for trophies. We're going to go for, challenging league title maybe. But one thing they don't associate Conte with is a project. Now, what's happened now, in my opinion, is the club have backtracked and all of a sudden we're now in a project. So the philosophy now is to buy young at affordable wage. But that was not mentioned when Conte took over. So the board haven't come out and said, right, we've signed Conte, but our vision is to sign young players so that he can develop them and we can have a team to challenge in the years to come. Now, had someone come out and said that in the beginning, before he signed, would have all been on board with it, perhaps, and would have probably not expected as much as we're expecting now. Because if it is a project, it's going to take a few years. Look at what's happened at Arsenal. They stuck by Arteta. There was this whole trust the process thing. Yes, there were fans who wanted him out, but essentially the board have stuck with him. They had a vision. They have someone there in Edu who works very well with him. They're both in cohesion as to who they want and who they don't need. They've got rid of a whole load of players, troublesome players that weren't needed, and they've brought in players that they needed. So, I can't believe I'm saying this, but why can't we sort of follow that model? Before it was,
we did follow that model with Pochettino, didn't we? And then
we did.
And then when push came to shove, we need a new team. It's like bollocks to that. We'll do it on the cheap, and then I'll get rid of you. So we had 5 years ago.
This is why I'm saying I can't believe.
And we messed. Well, Levy messed it up by not heeding Poch's.
But that is exactly why I'm saying I can't believe that I'm saying it, because we were that team. We were the team that Arsenal were looking at and saying, my God, we need to do what they're doing. We need to, we need the manager to invest in a project, this, that, and the other, because they were in the doldrums, they weren't doing nothing. But, the tables have turned now. The tables have turned.
If you look at Arsenal, if you look at the Arsenal first 11, they're apart from Saka, who's homegrown, they're all his signings. You look at our first 11, and there's probably 3 or 4 different managers that have signed those players. But
the problem is,
Poch got rid of a few. He got rid of Bentaleb. He got rid of Adebayor. I think was it
that
Townsend
was when he first took over.
Yeah, was it Townsend or Lennon who he didn't like because he had arguments with him? Right,
but he upgraded them, didn't he? He upgraded them.
Yeah, and then it's my team now, and yeah. So I agree with Haas completely. We had that. We've thrown it away, whereas Arsenal have taken that as a blueprint, and then, they may throw it away in 2 years' time or whatever. The life of a manager is very, very short these days. Big up Danny in the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Danny.
But yeah, I never ever want a Qatari or a Money Boys to win the league, but I do this season. I can't. Man City can win the league this season and then never ever again.
But this is the thing. This is the thing with ownership is that, and I've made this point many times. We're owned by an investment company. Okay, so they have to make money. They have to go by their shareholders. Blah 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 blah. If you look at all the owners of Man City and Chelsea under Abramovich and now Newcastle, they've got owners who are just giving the money. They're not there to make money.
No.
We call it sports washing. So the owners of Man City, the owners of Newcastle, and Abramovich as the owners of Chelsea, they were doing it as a personal thing, the sports washing thing. So they gave them all the money. They weren't there to make money.
Yeah.
So they didn't mind paying the extra money on players. We're owned by an investment company, and they're not going to be like that. And this is, I think, that the annoying thing about ENIC and the ownership is the fact that they've got us into a position where we're ready to challenge, and they haven't gone that extra mile.
Yeah,
and that's the frustrating.
That's
thing.
my frustration.
Right, they don't need to. In their eyes, they don't need us to be successful in order to generate money, and that is where the problem is. And we're never going to be satisfied as fans because I don't care about the business. I don't care about how much profits they're making. It's all well and good. I've got no issues with the board making money. I've got no issues with ENIC making money. But at least those fans that turn up week in, week out, give them something to cheer about, give them a reason to be happy about, supporting our football club. And I say our football club, but like I said, they're not bothered about whether we win a trophy, whether we challenge for a league title, because it's not going to make a difference. It's
exactly.
not. They will, the stadium will be used as a boxing event, as a concert. That's always going to be there. There's always going to be some sort of revenue. So, it's become a cash cow, and they'll milk it for as long as they can. And
I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon because they're making too much money for themselves. And I don't have a problem with the stadium being used for concerts, boxing, NFL, what have you. I was under the impression that was extra money that was being generated, which was going into the club, and it looked like it's not going into the club, not the club, into the team. Sorry, and it looks like it's not, which is where the issue is. And then Hash, you mentioned about Levy Enoch not kind of letting us know what's going on. The Supporters Trust have apparently written him a letter. I'm not expecting anything to come of that. It'll just be.
I've seen that. I'm not expecting anything from that. It's all well and good. They've written a letter, which is good, because we're making noises about finding out what's going on. But I don't expect anything to come of that.
Either. That's actually quite extreme, isn't it, for the Supporters Trust? That letter was actually like, whoa, gee, if they're writing a letter, wow,
I mean, that will just get washed under the carpet, and maybe that's why this Qatavi news has come out today. Not today, yesterday, today, this week, to brush that under the carpet. But let's move on to happier things. He's very nearly there. That's the goal that puts him one behind this great man on the right. And I'm delighted. Big thanks to Tommy and a big thanks to Gareth as well, because of them, I'm going to the North London derby, and I'm convinced that's history in the making. I'm convinced it's written in the stars that Harry Kane gets the goal-scoring record at home against Arsenal. So I put this little vote up earlier. What do people think? Do you reckon he'll break the record, 2+ goals, equal the record with 1 goal, or still be chasing it come the end? So 57% breaks the record, 33 equals, 9.5, so 10 still chasing. But it was a brilliant finish against Portsmouth. He was falling over. But will he break the record against the Arse? I can't even type the name properly. I can't do it. Come to you, Hass. Will he break the record? Will it be history in the making, or will he still be chasing it? What's your view there?
I think for Harry, again, it's another personal accolade. And I think this one's got to be the biggest of the lot, to be honest with you, because
he'll be desperate to get it against Arsenal, I think. Personally, for him, he'll want to get it against Arsenal, rub their noses in it a little bit more.
And this is what I'm saying. This one will be the biggest of the lot for him so far. So for him, he'll be very much aware of that. I think he'll be itching to get that first one. And I think if he gets the first one, he'll get the second one as well. Having said that, it's a North London derby against a very different Arsenal team. They've got a very solid defence. So it's going to be a difficult game. But I can see him getting at least one. But if he does get that one, I think he'll get another one as well, because he'll 100% want to. I think there'll be a penalty in it.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Hass.
Maybe the second goal is a free kick. The lesser spotted Harry Kane free kick. You never know.
Oh, no, you're putting the icing on the cake there. I mean, you're asking for a bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a big preview on the Arsenal game on Friday, so we'll talk about that far more in depth. But I know they're top of the league, Brad. But they haven't really been tested a huge amount. And last season, I'm not sure they're any different in the sense that if the crowd get on their back away from home, that they can cope, because they haven't really had that. And they capitulated against us. I think it was Rob Holding who just decided he wanted to have a bath early doors. And then against Newcastle, away to Newcastle, a similar kind of atmosphere, went to capitulated there. Palace as well, a little bit earlier, I think. So I think if the crowd get on their back, Harry, the crowd will be loud, I think, because they know it could be history in the making with Harry Kane and what he can do. So I think it will be a big old loud game again from the home fans. And if we start off quick, I know that's that's even more rare than a Harry Kane free kick going in the net. But I I mean, I've got this ticket. I've paid £75 for it, so it could easily be 2-0 to Arsenal. We don't get anything, and then I'm adamant this is going to happen. Oh, it hasn't happened, but it could easily be history. And Arsenal, I don't think, have been massively tested. I don't think their defence is that great. So they've obviously kept clean sheets against teams who are now sitting not going toe to toe with them because they will get picked off. So that helps their defence. But how do you see the game going? And certainly in terms of Kane, and a big shout out to Jens as well in the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Well, first of all, Harry Kane. I've seen Jimmy Greaves play. I've seen him live. I've seen him on TV. I can't remember what the last goal I saw him score, but he was playing in 1970. I was going to games. Didn't go to many games, but I did go to games. So I really, really, really want to be there when Harry Kane breaks his record. I mean, that'd be a special moment for me. I'd probably get quite emotional. My big fear is the fact that we got Arsenal on Sunday, and then after that, we've got 2 away games. So I tried to get tickets for Fulham and couldn't get them. I can't get to Man City. So my big fear is that he'll break the record at an away ground and I won't get to see it.
So you get to see it on telly.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, I know. But
yeah, so I'm hoping on Sunday that we are leading by a Harry Kane goal, going into injury time, and it's literally the last kick of the game and we're under pressure. We break, we get a penalty, and he scores a penalty to sew up the match and break the record. Yeah. That to me would be the ultimate on Sunday.
Like I said, I'm convinced it's written in the stars, breaks the record. and very interesting as well, it came out that his 265th goal, which was the Portsmouth goal, exactly the same day.
I know.
That Jimmy Greaves got his 265th goal. I mean, that is crazy when you think about it just in itself.
Yeah, I'm a little bit, not cynical, that's not the right word. I know, let's go back to last year's game against Arsenal. Arsenal weren't playing well at the time, and the crowd got on top of them, and we beat them. And we had a good team, and we were playing well at that time. So I went to that game full of confidence. It's a different Arsenal team this time round. They're playing well. They've had that experience from last season. We can't rely on the crowd to be our one and only thing to get us through this game. We've got to play incredibly well to beat Arsenal on Sunday. And yet, of course, we can play well. Of course we can, but it's going to be a really difficult game for us to win because unlike last season, I think they'll be a bit more determined this season. And yeah, the crowd will have an impact. And yes, their defence isn't that good. And yes, they haven't, been in this sort of match. But it's not going to be, a lot of people are going, they're going to fall over because they won't be able to take the pressure. Yeah, I don't like going into that game relying on that as being our only advantage. I think we've got to play well. And I know that Tottenham at our best can beat Arsenal. I know that for sure. We can beat most teams. It depends on how many players we get back from injury as well.
There's talk that Kulu and Bentancur are going to be fit. I mean, that's obviously going to be a huge bonus, whether they're match fit or not. But Haas, I know we lost to them 3-1 earlier in the season, but I thought when Kane scored that goal, we were all over them. Half time came at the wrong time for us, right time for them, and then it was a Hugo Lloris catastrophe that got them in. Then we were chasing the game, got picked off. But there was enough in that game away from home to say we can cause Arsenal problems. I know Richarlison had a big say in that match and he's going to be injured, so that's a big miss. But you never know. Son getting that goal against who was it that we Palace. I know it was deflected, but maybe luck has changed for him now. Like earlier in the season, that ends up ricocheting, defender clears it or goes out for a corner. But how confident are you in the game, or like Brad, are you extremely wary about it?
Of course, we've got to be wary because, it's Arsenal at the end of the day who are top of the league and they're flying. They've got some great young players. They've got the likes of Saka, etc., Martinelli. But look, we're playing at home in front of our own crowd. Like you said, the first game didn't go to plan. We had some moments there. Emerson unfortunately got sent off in that game, and a lot of things changed. But we're going to be in front of our own crowd. And when it comes down to Sonny, I think Sonny will know how important this game could be for Harry Kane. So he might even raise his game for this particular occasion to give his buddy a lift and try and get.
I think a lot of the team will. I think a lot of the team will want Harry to break the record against Arsenal, and like Brad said, at home in front of 50,000 fans rather than I know how many you take away from home, 5, 10 or whatever. So I think a lot of the team will be itching to get him some goals.
Yeah, absolutely, and that can only spur him on. It does act, the classic 12th man. It does do something to a team when there's fans, 55,000 fans chanting at the same time. It does give the team a lift and a push, and we need to make sure as fans, whoever is going to the game, I know you're going to the game as well, Chris, but you just need to make sure we show that support and push the team on. But I genuinely think I can't see us losing. I think there's a draw there. Definitely there's a draw there. Obviously, if we get the 3 points, for me, the 3 points is the most important thing above anything else.
Oh yeah,
I'm not so much fussed about derailing Arsenal. They've still got a lot of tough games to come. I just want, for me, it's the 3 points and a sense of personal pride. To not at least get away with a draw or win the game. So.
Well, it's an essential 3 points as well, really, being who we've got next, and we've got them 2 games later after that as well, which on paper you're not going to beat Man City, although somehow we do have something on them. But then
we'll say that every year.
All these things come to an end, and we haven't faced Haaland before. But yeah, it's essential 3 points, this one at home.
I'm just looking at the league table, and I'm going down it. We beat Fulham. They're in 7th.
Yeah.
But we haven't beaten anyone above them. We played we played Newcastle, Man United, and Liverpool. Lost to all of them. We beat Fulham. We
drew against Chelsea.
Yeah, we drew against Chelsea. So we haven't won any big games this season.
Yeah.
Really. That worries. But then again, law of averages, that can change. So...
Yeah. We've got to start better than we have done in recent weeks, that's for sure. But I always say with derbies, I know Arsenal are top and flying. It's all form goes out the window. There's the occasional game where the team who are ahead in the league, their quality shows. But generally, if you want it more, you win that game. And we've just got to want it more than Arsenal, and then hopefully our quality, because we do have quality. We are, we fifth or fourth? Fifth. Not far off fourth. So we've got quality as well.
2 points beyond third. So
and we talk about Harry. What a way for Son to kind of recapture his form and kick on and. Yeah, and hopefully we showed what we can do against Palace if we attack teams, and Arsenal will attack us as well. I don't think Arsenal are going to come there for a 0-0 and sit back like Villa did, but we'll see. But yeah, let's move on. One player I did feel sorry for against Portsmouth. I mean, if you play in Emerson's position and then you're playing against League One, you can't get in. Poor Jed. There's talk that he's going on loan in the window, and he has to, for me. He ain't getting in the side. If you can't get in against a League One team and Emerson, who's been dreadful, gets in, I mean, that surely, Brad, says the manager doesn't trust me. And I can understand that, Conte's using him kind of in a way to it wasn't my signing, Levy. What are you doing? But it's not Jed's fault. It's not Jed's fault if that's the case and he's been caught up in two people's arguments. But what'd you do? I feel for the guy. I really feel for the guy, and he has to go on loan for me if he's not going to play. He's not going to play if he ain't getting in against Portsmouth and Emerson, who's been dreadful. Is.
But he has to go on loan to a Premiership club. That's the only problem. Yeah. I don't think he can go on loan to a Championship club.
No. Brentford, Southampton, Wolves. I saw Again, on Twitter with the in the know crowd, they were the 3 teams mentioned. So whether
the bloke down the pub, well, his mate, right? Yeah, we'll be there. It depends on what Conte thinks is the future with our right wing back. Now he wants 2 players for every position, and a young player, doesn't he, as a backup? So you could argue that if we're looking for a right wing back, say Porro, for instance, Porro, Doherty, and Spence will be our 3 right wing backs next season. If you class Spence as that young player, I personally want to see Spence as one of the 2 players that we go in. If we get a right wing back, as far as I'm concerned, Doherty's improved, but I don't think he's the answer. Emerson's definitely not the answer. Although I have to say, I am actually a big fan of Emerson, not for his playing ability, for just the way he puts in enthusiasm. And
there's no doubt he tries. He's just his quality
and
just isn't there at the end of the day.
And I really hate it when I see people criticise his ability by all means, but when they sort of say, "Get out of our club, you fraud," and have a go, I don't like that at all. And cheering when he gets taken off, that sort of thing, don't like that. But yeah, I would like to think that we'll get a decent right wing back in during the window and have Spence as our 2 players, because we're fine on the left. We've got Perisic, we've got Doggio coming in, who apparently is flying in Italy at the moment.
That won't be this year, will it? That'll be next season.
That'll be next season, yeah.
It'll be next season, so July.
So they're looking for this right wing back. If the idea is to bring in a right wing back and use Spence as the second player, then fine. But if he's going to keep Emerson and keep Doherty and keep playing them, well, then put him out on loan. I feel sorry for him. It's not his fault.
Yeah, no. If he's caught up in their 2's argument, then it's really not his fault, and he's just a pawn in their argument. And I really feel sorry for him. It's not really fair for him, but he's getting a fair whack of money.
Apparently,
he's getting a fair amount of money, so it's not the end of the world. But he's not unemployed.
I wouldn't mind sitting on the bench for that money, with a Tottenham shirt. I'd be brilliant. But I think from what I've heard, and we probably all read the same reports. He's apparently very good in training. He's willing to learn. So it's not like he's not getting a game because he's being surly or anything like that. He's actually putting in, and that's what. It's just unfortunate at the moment. Conte's not picking him. So.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he has to go on loan, because if he ain't going to get picked against Portsmouth, he's not in Conte's plans for this season at least. So he has to go on loan. And otherwise, he's just essentially for a year not playing football and just training, which you need match experience.
Yeah. I mean, Brad took the words out of my mouth. He's essentially a pawn between Levy and Conte's chess match. It's quite clear that it was very much a Levy signing. Conte wanted someone much more experienced, and he was given Jed Spence. Now, there's nothing wrong with Jed Spence, in my opinion. The lad hasn't done nothing wrong. If it was an attitude problem, he wouldn't even make the bench, let's be honest. He wouldn't be in the squad. So it's not a case of his attitude, even though that was what was reported at the beginning of the season. But for me, it would be a crying shame to see another young, talented player waste his career at Spurs. So for me, he has to go out on loan. He's still quite young. He's 21 years old, I believe. So he needs to go out on loan until the dust has settled a bit, maybe come back, see what the situation is like in that right wing back position. It could be the case that, we have plans for him for next season where we get rid of, according to a few outlets, we're looking to accept offers for Emerson Royale. And Doherty, hopefully, if a bid comes in, will be accepted as well. And then we can look to get a new right wing back, and bring back Spence from wherever he was loaned out to. But like I said, he's a young, talented player. For me, from what I've seen from last season, already tells me that he's possibly much more talented than the 2 that we already have at the moment. So
that's what I can't believe, that he didn't get given a chance against Portsmouth to show what he can do.
Or Forest in the League Cup game.
Yeah, I just can't believe it. It just says to me that it's just Conte proving a point, and just... It is
proving a point, and that's all it is. It's Conte trying to prove a point. Essentially what it is, Levy has taken on someone in Conte that can very much play the game that Levy plays. So he's never had a manager of this sort of caliber that can sort of play him at his own game. You know, if you're going to play hardball with me, I'm going to play hardball with you on the pitch. I'll have my say on the pitch. You know, you're not going to get the better of me. And in some ways, yes, it's to the detriment of the team, perhaps. And in other ways, it's almost, you know, you feel like we've finally got someone that is actually calling him out for, you know, the things that he's not doing for this club. You know, finally got someone speaking out about the board. But like I said, it's to the detriment of the club.
Because I think Paratici, liked him. I think he was looking at him. I think Paratici went to the games that he played against Premiership teams last season in the cup games. But the other thing with Spence is he fits the Conte.
Yeah, that's what attacking wing back.
Yeah, he's just exactly what Conte wants in a right wing back. And I mean, there's a chance on. Okay, Emerson Royal got up for that header, which hit the post, very unlucky. But there was a moment where the ball came over, and there was Spence in the box trying to head the ball, and he's tall enough to do it. You know, which is what Conte wants from his wing backs. You know, so it's a strange one, and I'm disappointed he didn't get on straight away against. I mean, that was a perfect game, wasn't it, against Portsmouth? Perfect game. He's been given, O'Brien Hill probably because other players are injured, but he gave Sarr or Papa Sarr a game, you know, so why he didn't play Spence, I really don't know.
I think next season we have to look to get rid of a few wing backs, and I mean at least 3. Emerson, Doherty, as much as, you know, he's a slight improvement on Royale, he's got to go as well, you know, and the other one I'd get rid of is probably Cess, because it just hasn't worked out with Cess. For me, he's not of the caliber that we need at this club.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the thing. Like Brad says, if Udogie is coming back, and by all accounts he's running Italy's league at left back, unless something amazing happens with Cess in the next 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is,
I think it's up here with Cess.
Yeah, I mean, he could stay, couldn't he? It's the understudy to Udogie, because, you know, Perisic ain't going to be there for 3-4 seasons. But I just, there's got to come a point. There's got to come a point at some point. We talked about Gareth Bale earlier, right? Gareth Bale, terrible, wasn't he? He was all over the place. You know, was it 27 games without winning a game or something like that when he was in? And then all of a sudden, gets pushed forward. Okay, I'm going to attack teams. I'm quick. I believe in myself. I'm going to attack teams. I've retired the best right back in the world. I've become a world star. I've got an £85 million move to Madrid. Sessegnon has to do something similar. I'm not saying, you know, take the world by storm and go to Madrid for like almost 90 million, but you've got to believe in yourself. And this is a guy at Fulham who was a winger, get the ball quick, direct, run at people, commit people. But you have license to do that in a wing back.
This is where it's up here.
Yeah, you're not a fullback. You're not a fullback's first instinct has to be defend, go forward if you can get back. Whereas a wing back is the opposite. So yeah, I agree with you. It's all upstairs and mentally.
He's had 2 injuries, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he's got to have that. He's got to have that lightning bolt moment at some point if he wants to stay at Spurs and become a fixture in Spurs team. He's got to have that light bulb moment where he goes, I've got to try and do something. I've got to be positive. And I was hoping Perisic would help him along and, you know, kind of take him under his wing, but it doesn't seem to have happened. But yeah, it's a real shame. But where do you see Sessegnon next season, Haas? Spurs or somewhere else?
I think with Udogie coming in, we're probably going to keep hold of Perisic for another season. With Udogie and Perisic there, I can see his chances being quite limited. However, we have had 3 right wing backs this season, so there's no reason why you won't keep 3 left wing backs for next season. So it's very much up in the air. But like I said, for me, he's not reached the potential that we thought he can reach. And I think if a club, we're not going to get the money that we paid for him. Let's be honest. We paid something close to 30 million for Cess.
We might get 15 if we're lucky, something like that.
We'll probably get half of that to a newly promoted club, perhaps. I can't see any club currently.
I can see him going back to Fulham.
I think Conte likes him, though, doesn't he? I think Conte likes him.
Yeah. I mean, he showed moments, hasn't he? You know, when we drew 1-1 with Liverpool at Anfield last season, it was him who went forward and put the ball in the box. He's shown
you
other
could,
moments as well, and certain assists. But
that's the thing, though, Chris.
It's the consistency that he
we
needs.
don't need flashes. We don't need.
It's the consistency that we need.
It's all good being good in flashes, and that's okay if you know that you're a substitute player who can come on and in certain games change the course of a game. However, he's not consistent enough to be starting every game, and that's showed this season. He's not going to start over Perisic.
Yeah.
He had his chance at the beginning of the season where you thought maybe something going on here. He's willing to fight for his place because he's seen Perisic come in, and then he's gone back to he's reverted back to his usual self.
Some of that. Is some of that? Do you think how we play? Under Poch, it was all cavalier going forward. So if you play quick and high tempo stuff, you're likely to be playing high tempo and going forward because you're positive.
Not for me.
Do you think any of the what we seemingly see play defensive has?
Not for me because the wing backs are the attacking outlets.
That's
they don't in this formation. The wing backs don't defend as much as the right backs would. So there's not that excuse of our football is stopping them from being attacking. They're the ones who are the attacking outlets who get forward down the wing and take on their man and get the cross in for your strikers, etc. So that excuse for me, I really don't buy that because it's giving them enough attacking freedom to be able to do what they were doing before. Cess, when he was at Fulham playing left wing, he had the freedom there to express himself. He'd show good skill and, he'd get past his man, get the ball in. But none of that has been evident at Spurs. And for me, that's just not going to work in this system. I've watched every game since he's been with us. Okay. And every time he's played, he either comes back and passes the ball back or he tries to take his man on, but is never successful. So he's not got a very good success rate. Yes, he has scored a couple of goals and a couple of assists here and there. But again, it's just been in flashes. So for me, not consistent enough.
The flashes for me say that he can do it. So then he's got to believe I can do it. I've got to do it more often. But like you say, Brad, all in his head. For some reason, there's something in his head, I think, saying...
But how long has he been at the club, Chris?
Yeah. For me, I said earlier in the season, unless he makes that left wing back his own, his time's up at the end of the season. Unless something massive happens for him in the next 5-6 months or however long there is to the season, I think
you could make the argument that Spurs will go into next season with 5 wing backs. So you've got 2 right wing backs, 2 left wing backs, and Perisic is like a can be right, can be left. Yeah. So you could get away with that. But there were a couple of occasions, probably more than 2, against Portsmouth in the second half, where the ball went to Sessignon and you're just saying, put it past him and run. And he didn't do it. And that's,
and against Portsmouth, with all due respect to Portsmouth, they are lower league competition. That's a time to try things like that.
And I think going forward, once we get, if you can, and if you probably heard me say this before, so I'm sorry to repeat myself, but if you put Walker and Rose in our current team as wing backs, then that is quite a frightening attacking thing. So defenses have to worry about the 2 sides. At the moment, they really only have to worry about one side, if that, when we're attacking.
That's recruitment as well, isn't it? Those, we've bought defensive. We've bought a fullback in Emerson for the manager who was using fullbacks, and then brought someone in who doesn't use fullbacks, who uses wingbacks. Yeah. And then, Cess should be tailor-made to Conte's system. Being a winger at Fulham, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between a winger and a wingback as there is to a winger and then a fullback. So he should be tailor-made. It's all in his head. Perisic obviously knows Conte's system inside out, so there's no issues there. Doherty is a wing-back, and he continues to play bloody Emerson. I don't know why. And Spence is a wing-back, and he refuses to play him at all. So it's, again, recruitment. And I can't remember which one of you guys said it earlier, that you look at the team, and they're all signings from about 4 different managers. So, yeah, I mean, Conte wants this Porro guy, and he is, well, I think it was you, Brad, who said he's not a Conte player, but if Conte wants him, if Conte wants him, it's because Conte sees him in his system. Go get the guy, rather than keep playing a guy who's a fullback, playing in a wing back who quite clearly cannot cross a road, let alone a ball. Despite the effort that he puts in and the desire he shows, which is very, very good. But yeah, I don't know. But
think about Emerson. I was saying this on Saturday. The thing about Emerson is that apart from the fact that he can't cross a ball, in everything else, he's really confident. He did all the back flicks and all this sort of stuff, and he's just really confident in his own ability. Apart from when he gets to the byline, he can't go past the man and put the ball in. You know, it's which is basically the reason he's there.
Yeah. I don't know how he hasn't improved either. You know, they only train for 2-3 hours a day. Get those little metal outlines that you put for free kick walls, stick them in the box, go down the wings, stick it on, knock them over. Don't go home.
I'm not saying that I had any ability to get past a man, but I certainly could cross the ball if I had the chance.
Yeah. I mean, crossing for me, Alexander-Arnold does it. Beckham is the best that I've ever seen and probably will. They weren't crossing two people, they were crossing to areas. And those players who were getting in those areas know that the cross is coming in and the area it's going into, to run into those areas. So just get those little mannequin outline things, stick them into, the penalty spot and practice crossing it and hitting the head of that. I don't know how they don't do it. It's the same with Lloris, how his kicking has been dreadful for about 10 years. Practice the bloody stuff. There's a reason why Harry Kane is generally pinpoint accurate on penalties. And it's because he stays outside training for every day practicing penalties. I just don't understand how they don't improve when, it's not like us 9 to 5 every day. And then you've got to go and do dinner and then do this and do that and then go to bed and then go up and do it again. They're only there for 3 fucking hours. But one player, Haas, I did see criticism of, which is ridiculous, is on his skip. I mean, this guy, he's been injured for the best part of, I don't know how long. I was going to say a year, but I don't think it's that long. A nasty injury, which then had a lot of setbacks. He wasn't supposed to be playing. Basuma got injured and he was called up straight away. I mean, there's an element to say you should always be prepared. But I know he missed a sitter, fine. But we still won the game. But he missed a sitter, a good run into the box and desire to get in the box. He's severely match unfit. I don't really know what people expect. And he is a guy who will, like Brad says with Emerson, put effort in, whether he's good enough or not. Chris Agenbar, Kane, for the love of God, stop taking free kicks. He won't be saying that when he scores his second goal on Sunday with a free kick. But yeah, Oliver Skip criticism. For me, absolute just, I don't really understand it. Give the guy a break. He's had a big injury. He wasn't supposed to be playing. He's really unfit because he hasn't been playing. But he is the future of Tottenham's midfield, as long as injuries don't derail that, obviously. But how did you rate his performance against Portsmouth, and what did you make of the criticism that he got?
Well, not going to sort of beat around the bush and say he didn't make any mistakes, because there were clearly mistakes there. Whether it was, letting the ball run on too far forward, to mistiming a couple of tackles, but to criticise someone, like you said, who's been out for a considerable amount of time, not played within that system. I know they trained the system, but, having to partner someone else completely new in midfield as well. These are the types of games where, if you're going to make mistakes, then you make mistakes in these types of games, not against your Manchester Uniteds or Arsenals or anything like that. So for me, he's coming during a difficult time. We've needed to rest a couple of players. Højbjerg, Bentancur's injured. So he was the best of the few that was available to us. And he had, like you said, he is the future. He will get better. He's still so young. And let's not forget what he did in arguably the most grueling leagues in the country, which is the Championship. 46 games to come out as player of the season at Norwich, helping them to get promoted, is no mean feat. And, there is a player there. So, yes, we can criticise players, when they don't perform, but you know, we need to understand exactly why sometimes players don't perform to the best of their abilities. You know, we spoke about Emerson earlier on. You know, it's mistakes week in, week out. Yes, he's going to get criticism. When it's a player that comes in after a considerable time and he's made a couple of mistakes, okay, it's annoying, but it's against Portsmouth. He's been out for a while, and you know the kid's doing his best. So it's different, Chris. If it's like week in, week out. If Skip's starting every week, he's making shitloads of mistakes, and you know he's coming in for criticism.
Yeah,
but one game.
What did you make of it, Brad? Because people forget as well, his first Premier League game was against Man City, who were the champions from the previous season. He had a terrible first 10 minutes, could have given away 2 penalties, carried on, kept going, kept plugging away, and he was one of the best players on the pitch in that game. And then his stock and performances only rose in that season, and unfortunately ended due to this big injury. But
I totally agree with what Hass was saying. He hasn't had the best of games when he's come back, but when he had that season, or even before the Norwich season, he had the potential there. He had that season at Norwich where, as Hass said, he was player of the season, got him in top of to win the championship. If you compare him with our other up and coming midfielders of recent years, Harry Winks, Ryan Mason, Tom Carroll, he is miles above those, absolutely miles above them. And I made the prediction when he, at the Man City season, I think it was, that he would be my outside bet for an England squad for the World Cup.
He would have been part of an injury, wouldn't he?
Unfortunately, he got that really bad pelvic injury. And then when he came back, someone basically stomped through his foot. So he's had a couple of really bad injuries. And I find it absolutely amazing that the Twitterati that I've been reading and saying, he's very ordinary, he's not good enough, loan him out.
But these are the same people that after that Man City game would have been saying, he's the future. And it's just so reactionary sometimes, just for bad performance.
It's crazy. It's totally crazy. But no, I think maybe not this season. He'll take time to get back into it. But yeah, there's a future player there. Mourinho said a future Tottenham captain, and I wouldn't put it past him. I remember, here's me going back to the old days again. I remember Steve Perryman when he first came into the team, and he eventually became a Tottenham captain. And he was sort of, I'm not saying they were similar, but he was that sort of gritty sort of, midfield player, which Skip is. And Skip actually's got a turn of pace when he wants, and he can also pass the ball. So he should have scored on Saturday, which would have made it a lot easier to watch the remainder of the game. But
that was a bad miss. There's no two ways about that one. I could have scored that one, but thankfully it didn't.
Let's not forget it was a creative outlet during the Jose Mourinho era when he was playing under Jose. He was getting the ball forward. He was assisting. He was doing quite well.
Yeah. No, he's definitely he is a mile above Winks, Carroll, Mason, or any of the other midfielders we've had in recent years. Miles above them.
Yeah, what I did see, which made me laugh, is that basically he's terrible compared to this guy, Papi Sarr. Papi Sarr has played well, 2 games in, steady on. So, but him and Hill have played in the last couple of games, and I think it's fair to say their stock is rising. But yeah, to say Skip is worse than Sarr after 2 games is
it's silly.
Reactionary, like I say, calm down. But Hill, talk about Sarr, and let's talk about Sarr now. We're talking about a midfielder, but I've seen comparisons to Dembele about him. He's got a long way to get anywhere near Dembele, but it wasn't a comparison with
no middle ground, is there?
I'm being slightly unfair there. It wasn't like he is Dembele. I see glimpses of Dembele in him. So he can keep the ball very well. He's a good passer with the ball. But yeah, what would you make of him, Hass? He was on loan last year, I think, to Metz, I think it was. But he's obviously come in this year. He's got Basuma in front of him. Bentancur is straight back in the team when he's fit again. Højbjerg, Danish Player of the Year as well. Congratulations to him on that one. I do like Højbjerg. It's got Basuma, who's injured. Skip coming back. So there is competition for places in that midfield well, it'll be 2. It's 2 that play there. But what have you made of Sarr so far in the 2 games and that he's played?
I think we need to hold off on Dembele comparisons because look, we're 2 games in with his Tottenham career. Yes, it seems like there's a very good player there. He did very well for Metz. He got into the Metz team at a very young age. Obviously, he was scouted by us. We've seen a potential there for him to become a Spurs regular in the future. And that's what it is in the future. At the moment, we've got the likes of Pierre and we've got the likes of Bentancur in the team. You'd like to think those 2 are going to form a formidable partnership for years to come. Now, for me, I think he is going to get there at some point. But let's not forget, we've got someone like Yaya Toure at the club who arguably is a legend of the game. He's loved by, every African nation for what he's done in the Premier League. And whoever comes to the club, especially African players who come to the club, will have a lot of respect for him. As you know, Bissouma, when he came to the club, the one person that, he really looked forward to talking to and learning from was Yaya Toure. So Yaya will have a lot of influence over anyone who comes from Africa to our club. But look, he played well in the 2 games that he's played for us. There's no denying that. But he's come at a time where we've had injuries and we've needed to call upon anything and everyone that we can find just to cover that midfield area. But he's done himself no harm in his performances that he's put in there. And he's possibly shown to Conte that he can step in and perhaps take his chance when things aren't going right, when players are off form or injured. And it's a good option to have. It's a good dilemma to have, for any manager. If players are all performing well, it's the right type of dilemma to have, as opposed to having players out and not having your regular starters in the team. So for me, I like the look of him. He's a strong boy. He looks like he's not that strong. But he's very, very sort of, you can see strength when he's holding off players and stuff. And you think, where's that coming from? You're quite slight, but, hopefully we've got a player there for the next few years who can sort of come in. But yeah, good player.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, for me, has hit the nail on the head there. Done himself no harm whatsoever. And he's got to use that as a platform now. That's where my performances have been. That's where they've got to stay at a bare minimum. And it can only be good for the team as well. Bentancur, who's brilliant, is out. Sarr comes in, puts in those kind of performances, gives Conte something to think about, And the other midfielders, if I don't pull my weight, I've got someone there itching to get in who will put a performance in. So it can only be good for the team.
What he's done is and I had he did okay when he came on against Palace. He had a very good game against Portsmouth. I personally thought he was one of our better players against Portsmouth. But that's one performance. Doesn't it's not suddenly he's Dembele, he's the answer, blah blah blah. And I actually sort of made the point that he's had a very good game against a mid-table League 2 team. But then I suddenly thought, well, actually, he's played in a half of a World Cup game against England. So, he's had that experience. I think what he's done, and we'll talk about Brian Hill in a minute, I think what he's done is he's actually gave him Conte the confidence to keep him there and not loan him out with the injuries we got. If we had everyone fit, then he probably would go on loan because of his game time would be limited. But I think with the injuries we've got, I think it's given Conte a reason now to say, no, we'll keep him at the club. We won't loan him out. And I think that's what's happened in his couple of performances. But yeah, he's had a couple of good games and promising player. But yeah, let's not get too carried away like we probably was trying to get carried away after beating Palace 4-0. So it's game at a time.
Yeah, and you mentioned him. Hill got man of the match against Portsmouth. Without Kulusevski and Son on the kind of form that he's in, it needed someone to get the ball, run at people, commit, whether they're going to get past people or not. But the defenders will know, oh, he's on the ball running at me. He is going to try and take me on or do something. He's been fantastic as well. But again, 2 games. 2 and a bit games. So it's good while he's done that, and put not the cat amongst the pigeons, but shown Conte, give me a chance, I will take people on and try and speed the game up. I thought he was very good when he came on. Was it Monaco in the Champions League before Christmas?
Yeah, he did.
I can't remember who it was against, but I thought he changed the game there because of his proactive kind of play. But he's got to use that as a benchmark and a level now. But when Kulusevski comes back, and if Son starts scoring again, he's not going to get in the team, is he? Barring injuries and a cameo appearance.
Yeah,
but again, Sarr, done himself no harm at all.
And that's what I think he's done. He's done like Sarr. He's now given Conte. So okay, with injuries, we can keep him here, and he can do a job for us. He played very well against Palace. He played very well against Portsmouth. I do think, and what worries me about it, let's get straight. He's an incredibly skillful player. He runs all day. He's quite tenacious. He's got a good vision. He does things. He tries to change the game. He's making runs. All of those things, all those good things. I just worried at the fact that against Palace and against Portsmouth, other teams don't really know him. If he starts to come on and play well, suddenly teams are going to start really getting into him. And he's very slight. He needs to be a lot bigger, I think.
That might be a good thing, Well, I'm getting kicked up in the air now. I've got to bulk up in the summer or days off. Bale came back. I can't remember what season it was. It looked like he'd been, best friends with the Rock for the last. He suddenly became really big and strong, and then he was pushing people off, and people were bouncing off him. So it might not be the worst thing for him. That's why I wanted him to go on loan to a Championship team, League One, or something like that, because the defenders there, he would be too good for that division. So he would get kicked up in the air.
And if Kulusevski is fit again, and we buy this right-sided, attacking player that we're apparently looking at, well, then you probably would loan Gil out. But then when you talk about getting someone like Edwards in, well, I'm thinking, well, why get Edwards when we got Hill? I don't think there's a lot of, So I think he's done. I think he's done enough to make Conte know that when we do have injuries to Kulusevski, that he can play him there and get something. He can do something. But I do still worry about his size. Everyone says, "Oh, Modric was small," but Modric was differently built from memory.
Oh, he's absolute world class. Modric, you can't really compare the two.
Yeah, but I mean, he looks. Someone said, "Oh, he looks like the ball boy," but he does. He still looks very, very small, very tiny. And you can imagine if he starts having good games for Tottenham, then other clubs are going to think, "Hang on a minute, we're going to take this guy out." That's what worries me. But he had 2 very good games, but. Again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I'm not worried about that Haas being taken out because we get a free kick from it, maybe a sending off, and he'll learn that I've got to bulk up a little bit because this is going to happen more and more. But I also think when he gets his first goal, that'll give him a world of good in terms of confidence, and he looks confident. I can't remember the first game he played. He looks much more confident now. Yeah. Because of that game where he played quite well. And I think once he gets a goal, he set the pass to Kane's second goal. I mean, you can talk all you want about how good the touch and finish was from Kane, but there was no second thought in Hill's mind. Kane's free, whip it into him, done. And also that for the first goal, understand, I can try and take people on, have a shot, but Perisic in a much better position, give it to him and he can do the rest, and Kane gets a sitter of a header. So it's a decision making there. I know that's only one game and only 10-minute spell, but it's something to not cling on to, but it's something for like him to, okay, I can do that. I can make the right decisions. I can whip a ball in and an assist. And then there's also that I can take people on, whip a cross in. And once he gets that goal, I think he'll get a huge amount of confidence. But what do you make of him and all of that, and what Brad says about the slightness and the kind of ball boy physique?
First of all, Brian Hill is in a league of his own, not for the reason that you think I'm going to say, but probably because he's probably the only player at Spurs who's allowed mayo and ketchup.
Yeah, sponsored by McDonald's. Yeah,
you can see everyone's probably giving him their leftovers. Here you go. We've got a bit of cake left here, a bit of burger left here. But the lad come out. I think there was a quote today by him saying, I'm built quite differently to others. I find it hard to put on weight, but I understand that I need to be physically bigger and stronger, and I'm trying. So there was a quote out there today. But look, you can see in the games that he started, he's grown in confidence as, you know, he's put in good performances. And every time he's done well, his confidence has grown and grown and grown. So, you know, we started off, I think it was the Palace game. You know, he done well. We ended up winning 4-0. That second goal for Harry Kane, you know, to get the ball through two. I mean, it's not your regular type of pass through two defenders at an angle, but he got it through to Kane, and he was confident enough to do that in his own ability. And then Kane just finished it off. But, you know, you can see after that game when he started against Portsmouth and he was taking players on, he was, you know, showing glimpses of fantastic skill to take his man on, carry the ball forward. And he got taken out a couple of times, and he still got up. Fair play to him. I've not seen him once, you know, roll around on the floor complaining that I've been taken out. He's got straight back up and straight back into it.
That'll come. That'll come.
I mean, you know, you just got to say it's a fantastic. And I said this before on another show. I mean, the kid is showing fantastic attitude because he initially wanted to go back to Valencia. He wanted to go back to Spain. And it didn't work out for him. You know, it was all set. It was, you know, here we go by Romano. He's set to go to Spain. And it didn't happen. You know, that could have destroyed his confidence, knowing that I'm actually here for another season and I might not be starting. And I could have been at Valencia doing well. He done well when he went to Valencia. You know, he was getting assists. He was taking players on. The confidence was there. But as I said, fantastic attitude. You know, he's taken his chance. Managers obviously had a word in his ear to say, look, if you start, you know, pulling your weight and you follow what I'm telling you, then you've got a chance to, you know, make a name for yourself at Spurs. So for me, there is a player there. But like someone else said on another show previously, you know, a gust of wind and, you know, he's not only got to worry about... Yeah, well, he's not only got to worry about defenders, but he's got to worry about what gale force it is. So, I mean, look, I like the kid. He's shown a good attitude, and that's the most important thing for me is to show good attitude and a willingness rather than come on and just run around and aimlessly and not do anything. So,
I also noticed that now the other players seem to be more inclined to give him the ball as well. I think that seems to
absolutely.
Before they were a bit, you know, now you don't see what you can do. They're more inclined to give him the ball.
Absolutely, and again, it's a nice problem for Conte to have because he's got options now. And Lucas has been missing for a while, injured.
I'm not sure he'll play for us. I'm not sure he'll play for us again, to be honest. He'll have a cameo, I think, probably the last home game if he's fit. You know, just kind of a send off. In terms of any big kind of contribution in terms of minutes, I think he's probably done. I think he'll go back to mid.
I think isn't his contract ended at the contract ends, isn't it? But they got the obligation. They can extend it for a year if they want to. But I think if he's injured,
I think he'll go to Brazil at the end of the season.
Yeah. I believe he's going back. The plan is to go back to Brazil. The player himself said he wanted to stay and see out his contract at Tottenham, which again. That shows fantastic attitude from Lucas. He's a very loyal player. He's shown us time after time that he is a loyal player. And whenever he's, you know, come in and played for us, you can't deny that he's given his all. You know, his performances have declined in the last few games, but he's given us some fantastic memories. And
well, he's responsible for the greatest night in my life. So you know.
And many others as well, Brad. You know, I can guarantee you every single Tottenham fan can remember exactly where they were. If they weren't at the game, they can remember exactly where they were when those goals went in. And those are the kind of memories that every fan at this football club.
Let's see it in slow motion. Let's see the pub in slow motion.
Again, like Bale with the San Siro, I don't think any Spurs fan who saw that will ever forget that until the day they die. That 45 minutes.
Yeah,
but kind of each year. Just a quick one. It was the first appearance that I can remember anyway of Tanganga this season in defence, Brad. Obviously a clean sheet, but against League One opposition. What did you make of him?
Didn't he play against Palace? Was he in the Palace team?
I didn't think he was, but I could be
wrong. No, you could be right. Could be right.
It's definitely, I think, his first start. Definitely his first start.
It was Romero. It was Romero, Dyer, and Longley for Palace. It wasn't. He was in the.
That's right. Yeah,
he was in the team for the game before.
Yeah, that's right. You're correct. He didn't do anything wrong. But I just feel that the boat has sailed for him at Tottenham.
Yeah, I think he's one of these players that versatility is sometimes wonderful. But it's also certainly a hindrance for a young player because you never nail down that position and learn it. You know, I know he's an attacker, but Harry Kane has only ever learned to be a striker. The fact that he's now passing and dropping deep is kind of his choice. But he's learned the striker. Tanganga's learned centre back, left back, right back, and you can't learn the intricacies of one position. I don't think when you're young, learning all these different positions. I think it's been a bit of a hindrance to him.
I don't want to make fun of the lad because I think he's a really decent lad, and I think that definitely he'll go on to be a good player. Maybe not at Tottenham, but a friend of mine went into Oxfam in Marylebone High Street today, and I think you can see that.
Yeah.
So I told him to buy one because it would probably be worth a lot of money when Tanganga becomes a good player. I think Tanganga can be a really good player, but I just think his time at Tottenham is up. I think he either needs to go out on loan or go to another club. I don't think he's going to make it at Tottenham.
No. It's a shame. It's a shame, isn't it, Haas? Because that first game up against Mane, he more than held his own in that game against a world-class, I don't know, winger, striker, whatever you want to call Mane's position. And it just, he had a few good games and then it kind of waned a little bit and he's never really got back. But yeah, what would you make of Tanganga and his future?
Let's not forget, most players who go on to be extremely good have like one or two managers that they develop under. And for me, Tanganga, although we've had world-class managers come in, you know, Jose, we've got Conte now, we've had Poch, but with so many managerial changes as well, and having to adapt to each one's different sort of style and philosophy, I don't think that has helped at his young age as well. So, you know, part of the reason why, you know, the class of 92 and players thereafter at Manchester United were so successful was because the longevity of Alex Ferguson. And same could be said of Arsene Wenger, you know, bringing players in, developing them in the position that they're meant to be played in. This is, you know, players would go to these clubs and, you know, you knew what the clubs, you knew what the ethos was at the club, what the philosophy was, what the play style was. Whereas at Spurs, we've had, you know, managers come in, this is how I want to play. You've had another one come in, this is how we're going to play. So there's been a lot of changes, and I'm not saying players can't adapt to that, but there are players that can't adapt to that sort of environment as well. And also, let's not forget that, you know, it was reported that AC Milan were after Tanganga as well. Now, obviously, there's a player there that, you know, they can see that would benefit them. They've already got the likes of Tomori, who I don't know what the ins and outs of it were when he was at Chelsea, but he wasn't getting a look in at Chelsea either. And AC Milan took a gamble on him, and it's paid off for them massively. They won the Scudetto with him in defence, and he was one of the best defenders in the league. So I can see the thinking behind there, get another young English centre-back in Tanganga, perhaps pair them up together. You know, for me, it might have, you know, something, there might be something in it there for them if AC were to come back in for him. But that shows you a club like AC Milan looking at you tells you that there's a player there. And whether he's bereft of confidence or whether, you know, he's reached his ceiling, which I don't think he has. But at Tottenham, we're just constantly asking for different things through the various managers that we've had. And I think that is the crux of it with Tanganga.
He's also had injuries as well, hasn't he? He's had a lot of time out with injuries.
Yeah.
No, that would have definitely slowed his progress.
I think Poch would have loved him. You know, we saw how Poch developed, like Danny Rose, for example. Danny Rose was awful. Poch got hold of him. He was the best left back in the country, possibly top 5 in the world. I think Poch would have loved him and his attitude and everything like that. But It's a shame. But I do think there's a player in there, like you both said. But talking of Poch and one of his players, I'd love to take credit for knowing this, but I don't because Brad told me before we went on air. Lloris has ended his international career. Probably a shame for him that he ends it with losing a World Cup final. I think if your striker scores a hat-trick in a World Cup final, you probably expect to win. But when the opposition has Lionel Messi, you can't take any of that for granted. But he has won a World Cup and been an integral part. I think he's the all-time leading caps holder for France, isn't he? I think he's beat Thuram now in that final. People who watch this regularly and guests who appear on here regularly know my thoughts on Lloris, and we need a new goalkeeper. But there's no doubt that he was at one point world class, and still his shot stopping generally, apart from going to Jordan Pickford's school of goalkeeper and palming it straight out into the middle in recent games, has been superb. It's his decisions.
Next Spurs goalie you're talking about there, Chris.
Yeah, but he is. Well, I bloody hope not.
We could be bringing a school to Tottenham, Chris.
That's why he's teaching him. He's teaching. But I hope we don't get Jordan Pickford. But Lloris, despite his frailties and everything like that, is by far and away the best goalkeeper I've seen Spurs have in my lifetime. And ending his international career as the all-time leading caps holder, I mean, that will be broken at some point, but at the moment, he's in the history books. He has won a World Cup with them. Very unlucky not to win two, but fantastic player. He's still our goalkeeper. And what I loved about the England-France, I didn't like much about it, but literally straight after the game, he went to Kane to console him because he is his club captain at the end of the day, and he sent him a text message of encouragement as well. And despite his frailties, his leadership qualities, I think, man management leadership qualities, very good and highlighted in kind of that moment. But yeah, just a word on Lloris and Brad. And I'll let you go first, being that you brought it to my attention. I'll reiterate that it wasn't me who knew about it.
Well, I have a feeling that he probably intended to retire after the World Cup anyway. It's just sad that it was on a losing team, but. I mean, I obviously haven't seen him play for France that many times, being the England fan. But yeah, I mean, he's a world-class goalkeeper, or has been a world-class goalkeeper. Sadly, you get to a stage where you start to decline, and I think he started that road now. So he might as well, albeit in a losing World Cup final, he might as well retire at the top. And and I think we'll probably see him go. If we get another keeper in at the end of this season, he might have one more season possibly. But yeah, I think we've seen a few mistakes, more mistakes than normal. I mean, every goalkeeper will make a mistake. And with Lloris, you knew he's going to make brilliant saves that will make up for it. But unfortunately, this season, he's made mistakes that have led to goals that have left us losing matches. So yeah, sadly, he's just in a decline. But yeah, a great career. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to have seen Pat Jennings, so he's not. It's been one of those nights, isn't it? So he's not the greatest keeper I've ever seen at Tottenham in my lifetime.
He's your number two.
Yeah, he's certainly at Tottenham, despite recent errors, he's certainly been a really good club servant and has pulled some amazing saves out that have ultimately won us or saved us. He was the reason he saved the penalty against Arsenal at Wembley. And that was if we'd have lost that match, we would have made the Champions League that season. So, these are the sort of things he's done. And obviously, he saved penalties against Man City in the Champions League.
We kept us in that tie. Without that, we'd have lost that tie. And that save against in the Champions League away, where he kind of clawed it off the line when it was easier to score.
He rolled over and it was brilliant.
Unbelievable save. So his reactions have never really been in doubt. It's his decision making for me in recent years, like you say, Brad, that have kind of waned as he's got a bit older, but still a top quality goalkeeper, just not the world class level that he used to be.
I very much enjoyed Lloris's time at Tottenham. I believe he's been one of our best goalkeepers at Spurs. My father always used to tell me about Pat Jennings and how he once met him as well. But he used to tell me how great he was. And
met him as a kid.
But I've seen videos. I've seen loads of videos. Pat Jennings was absolutely amazing. But there's no denying that Lloris has been a fantastic servant to the club. I mean, loyalty for me means everything at a football club. And he's shown that in bucket loads. And it just shows these players wouldn't stay at the club if they didn't love the club. And you've got to say he's given us his all, but sadly his decline started a couple of seasons ago when things were going a bit wrong. He was making errors here and there. At 36 years old, he's got nothing to be ashamed of. Keepers do start declining at a certain age. You've got to be very special to continue. We've seen loads of goalkeepers play until they're 40, but yeah, I mean, when it comes to the France team, he's under a lot of pressure through a few young up-and-coming goalkeepers. You've got Maignan at AC Milan. You've got Lafont, Areola at West Ham. These are all young French goalkeepers, young and hungry, ready to come through. So they're the future. But, for me, Lloris has been a fantastic servant. But, I think this is his last season for us. Possibly.
I mean, he'll get a wonderful reception in the last home game, whoever that's against.
The only thing I would say on that, Chris, is that it's a terrible shame that he didn't win nothing during his time at Spurs at club level.
Obviously, he's won.
There's still a chance we're in the fourth round, Haas.
If we can, for this season, right, if we were to win a cup and Harry Kane broke Greaves' record, which we all know he is going to. That's guaranteed.
Yeah.
And we finish in a reasonable position in the league. I'll be happy with that. We can then build on that and go again next season. But, let's not forget we are losing our club captain. And I know people are going to say Harry Kane's going to step in as the captain, but we don't know if Harry's going to be with us next season as well. So, we could have an entirely new captain for next season, wholesale changes.
It would be nice, wouldn't it, if Tottenham could somehow win the FA Cup this season for Lloris and for Kane.
And Son as well.
And Son as well.
Just a pity that your Dembélés, your Vertongans, your Alderweirelds and Erikssons, and I mean, that whole team didn't get their chance as well. That's the best team that we've had in my lifetime by...
And the great thing is that either Arsenal or Man City won't be in it. So in the next round, although
Chelsea are out, Man City or Arsenal are out,
Newcastle are out as well. Newcastle, one of those teams you think, this might be the year they win something. Well, they're out. So
without being big-headed, we should be beating Preston. As long as our attitude is right, we should be beating them.
So similar to Middlesbrough last season, though, isn't it?
It is
so similar.
You've got to have the right attitude. For me, giant killings happen because the better team go there thinking we've won this, and the lesser team go there thinking we've got nothing to lose here. Let's give it our all, keep in the game. So as long as we go there with the right attitude, we can win that game. If we go there thinking we've won this because they're in a lower division, we'll lose.
Absolutely.
But we pretty much reached the end. Not a huge amount more to talk about. Let's just talk about the Arsenal game before we potentially lose it and look forward to it. And then hopefully we can talk about it in glowing terms.
Who looks forward to it?
I love the Arsenal game. Just the thought of being able to
not stand them.
Just the thought of being able to beat them and going into the office on Tuesday and the Arsenal fan crying and me laughing at him.
That's great. Yeah, it's the ending. I love it when we're going to win the game. Yeah, I love it then. But
I love the atmosphere at games. And
there's
nothing like a North London derby atmosphere. I'm just gutted. I share my season ticket, and I went not last season, but the 2 seasons before I went. So it wasn't my turn last season. I missed out on what many have told me is the best atmosphere they've ever had at a game. So But hopefully Kane can break the record there. But if he doesn't and we get the win, I'll be delighted as well. It's about the team, not about Kane. But I've booked my seat thanks to Mac and Tommy for potentially my place in watching history. Let's hope we do. But as long as we get the win, I'm not hugely bothered. Big thanks to Brad. Big thanks to Haas. Before you go, leave a like and the subscribe as well. Hit the notification bell. Go over to Chris's Magic, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. That's when the new trick drops. And then go over to Blue Sofa Songs, which is Brad's channel. What can people expect in the coming weeks on there? Brilliant channel as well, by the way. Without Brad's channel, Chris's Magic wouldn't exist.
Thank you, Chris. Well, I've got a new song, hopefully this Friday. The last song was basically a new version of the very first song I did on YouTube with the DAW software. For those who don't know, it's basically like a recording studio on your laptop, so you can record different tracks. So I've got a new song going up this Friday, which is going to be tentatively called 2023. So you can probably guess what that's about. It's about
last year.
My hopes and dreams for this year, and I haven't actually. It's sort of in the work in progress at the moment, so I haven't. So yeah, but that's what normally happens. It normally happens at the last few minutes. The song comes together, and you've got a song. So yeah. So please have a look at the Blue Sofa songs and look at some of the old stuff. I've actually got a little favourite section now, which is I think my better songs. So you can actually look at that, or a little DAW section if you want to look at DAW songs. But yeah, please give me a like, click subscribe, notification bell. It all helps. Yeah, and also subscribe to. I've got to get this right. Yeah, subscribe to Chris's Magic. It's really, really good. And I still can't work out how he does them. And subscribe to Hass's channel as well, which he's going to tell us about now.
Yeah, excellent view from the South Stand. Brilliant channel. And you do something that I could never do, which is talk about the games literally straight after they've happened when emotions are rife. I wouldn't be able to do that without needing a bleep machine. But yeah, what can people expect on that channel in the coming weeks?
Yeah, well, we've changed the names actually. South Stand View, we've shortened the name. So if you want to catch us, have a look at YouTube, South Stand View. Myself and my co-host, Marlon, we both host the shows. We alternate between shows. So you can catch us straight after the North London derby on Sunday, which I'll be hosting straight after the game. No telling what my stress level is going to be after that. But, you know, part of being a host, obviously, you just got to keep it all together, I suppose. And, you know, it's fantastic because we get people on, you know, depending on how the game's gone. You know, it's a bit of a stress relief session, you know, a bit of a, you know, let's talk about it, shall we? You know, let's support each other sort of session. But, yeah, it's good. We've got 2, 3, sometimes 4 guests that come on, and usually it's about an hour after each game. So you've got myself this Sunday after the game, and then you've got Marlon hosting the game against Manchester City. He'll be on to host that one as well. Like I said, you can catch us on YouTube, South Stand View. Do give us a like and do subscribe as well. It does help the channel an awful lot. We are growing every week, but obviously without your support, you know, it's a bit difficult, but, you know, click on the channel and subscribe. You know, it's fantastic. And likewise with Brad as well. If you haven't seen Brad before, go into his YouTube channel, check out some of his songs. It's absolutely fantastic. And yeah.
Excellent. 2 brilliant channels there. So make sure you go over there and check those out.
Cheers,
notification bells as well. You don't have to worry about when they're live. It will appear in your notifications when they go live. Brilliant addition to YouTube, so make sure you do that. I'll be back on Friday, big North London derby review, and then on Monday, either the meltdown or the celebration, depending on what happens. And then, yeah, every Friday we're back now. I had a couple of months off due to illness and the World Cup. But we're back now. Mondays, 7:30 p.m. UK time. Fridays, 12:30 p.m. UK time. And yeah, Monday when we play Fulham will be a watch along. Rather than me doing a show when the game's on, it'll be a watch along. So make sure you check that out. And if you want to be involved in that, let me know as well on Twitter at Talk Tottenham. And yeah, be back on Friday for the big previewing hopefully Harry Kane making history and us beating our North London rivals. Make sure you check out all the channels, likes, subscribes to everybody, notification bell. Let's Talk Tottenham, Chris's Magic, Blue Sofa Songs, South Stand View, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thanks so much for watching. For everybody who joined in the live chat and added comments, before you go, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also, please hit that notification bell. That'll give you a notification every time we're about to go live, and it's all completely free. For those who missed the live show, you can catch this whenever you want on Let's Talk Tottenham's YouTube channel. Please also hit the like, subscribe and notification bell, and everybody please leave feedback, comments, suggestions in the comments section on the YouTube videos. For those of you who listen to the audio podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anyone who wants that audio podcast, you can pick that up wherever you get your podcast from. We're back Mondays 7:30pm UK time and Fridays 12:30pm UK time. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter at Talk Tottenham, Instagram, Let's Talk Tottenham Podcast, you can find all the information there. Anyone who wants something a little bit different, also do a magic show. So I do one trick a week, which drops Wednesday 7:30pm UK time. Chris's Magic on YouTube is where you'll find that. But in the meantime, come on you Spurs.